Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast, K Persia. Please excuse the background noise. I would like to comment on the Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, or actually Duchess of Sussex situation that's going on in the UK. As you all know, Queen Elizabeth II recently passed. Today, Sunday, is the day before her last and official funeral, before she's buried. And there seems to be a steely process of ostracization of both the prince and the duchess. It's almost like a cool hand Luke sort of kind of operation that the royal family is playing masterfully. Now, as you all know, Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan, recently exited royal life in the United Kingdom. They moved here to the Americas, or the United States, and have been living in California for the last 2 years. In the last couple of days in the newspapers, it seems that they were sent an invitation to meet with nearly all the powerful dignitaries throughout this world. And then, of course, they found out through the press, it seems, as they report, or as the representative reported, that they found out that they were disinvited. And so I just want to comment on what may be going on behind the scenes and what I think will be a possible outcome for them, and what the royal family may be doing ultimately to this particular couple. The first thing to flesh out is, as you know, the Duchess of Sussex recently recorded some podcasts that she's released on Spotify. And on one of the podcasts, she had stated that she basically didn't realize what it was like to be a black woman until she was dating Prince Harry, which is now her husband. And of course, that implies that she was living life basically as a white woman, or trying to live life as a white woman. I believe she claimed to be biracial or multicultural. And as for the black community, especially the DOAS community, the Descendants of American Slaves community, we have always had to deal with persons such as this, who played the card of passing for white, depending on the skin color and hair texture. There's a long, long history of that. I mean, centuries old history of it. And unfortunately, that dynamic still goes on today. So to me, I'm not surprised that she was passing for white and that she willingly did so. But I also don't excuse that behavior, because in this day and age, there's too much information out there to know that you should probably claim that you're black, because you do not fool white people. In the end, they know. They watch for it, and they know. Oh, they do know, and they will let you know when you become quote-unquote uppity. And I think that's what's going on right now. I believe that she is continually getting her wake-up call. I believe that he's getting a wake-up call. Unfortunately, I think this is his first wake-up call, and it's done at a sad point in his life, which is the loss of his beloved grandmother. Now, whether or not you had any affinity for the passing queen, I know to most Europeans, she's very well celebrated and loved throughout the world. To others, DOAS peoples, depending on your persuasion, if you're awake and conscious, you know that the royal family has a very bloody history in chattel slavery, colonization, wars and famines, and even genociding people, at least sending their countrymen off to do so in order to conquer lands that they still control, still segments of the world's population still today. So anyway, the tension between Prince Harry and Meghan and the royal family has been very public. It seemed that they were trying to draw them into the fold, and yet there's claims that some of the people surrounding the royal family are not particularly happy with them and do not want them back. And I say that possibly there could be another thing going on here. I believe that it's not so much that they don't want them back, is that they probably don't want her back in the fold. Why? Well, because she talked about racism. Delusion of inclusion or delusions of any kind, they're very, very strong and hard to break. It's becoming more and more clear that Meghan may have seen Prince Harry as a stepping stone to the ultimate fame arena. You know, many people who go into Hollywood, they're not going into Hollywood because, you know, they want to be private. They want to be actually public. And not only do they want to be public, but not all of them, but many of them that we have seen and that we can point to, many stars or celebrities, do have a narcissistic tendency to them, sometimes to the nth degree. And being particularly aware that she has or has displayed a strong sense of being right and wrong on issues, and that what she believes is right, and going full throat with it, it is my belief that she really wanted the world to know, and still does. I don't think that she really took into consideration what it means to be in the royal family, which is hard to consider that might be true, because there's been so much, especially with the life of Princess Diana, with the Duchess of York, Sarah Ferguson, and what happened to them, and with others just throughout history. You know, you would have to be delusional. You would have to be like completely blind to what might happen to you. But I always go back to the point when thinking about this, is that she always says that when she was a little girl, that there was a moment, I don't know if she was 9 or 11, when she sent in a letter to some manufacturer, and she told the story in her podcast, and they told it when they were getting engaged. And the fact that because she wrote it down, they did what she wanted, what she requested them to do. And I believe that that's still in her mind, right? Like, all I have to do is just say it, write it down on wax, and it will change. And God bless her that she feels that way and is putting that out there. You can definitely tell it in her speeches that it is about her and about what she thinks, and that she's on the right side of history, and you know, you need to hear this, and if once you hear it, then you're going to change your ways. And while I can respect that notion, that courage, you still are considered a black woman in whiteness, in the realm of whiteness, which is global. So the cold hand cards that they're dealing them right now is something to behold. So along with this invitation, they did it publicly. I mean, they sent them an invitation privately, and then publicly they said they were disinvited. And coming from a people who, you know, they don't make a move haphazardly. They have a whole conglomerate of individuals that work on their behalf to make sure that things are as close to perfect and seamless as possible. They don't make mistakes or are forgetful. They just don't, as a royal family. So to send the Duke or the Duke of Sussex and the Duchess of Sussex an invitation, and then to take it away publicly, that was meant to send them a message. And I think to really send him a message. There is this cool ostracizing with him. You can even feel it through the TV screen when he's standing next to his family. And what my observation is that although Meghan has gone back to her life pretty much here in California. She is now a world celebrity, quote unquote. She's now can stand at the podium and preach her sermon, quote unquote. I believe that because that's such a glare for her and that's such a desire for her, that she's not looking the other way, that this is a man, her husband, that has literally been stripped of the only life he's ever known. He has moved from his home, the home he's ever known, to a whole different country, which is monumental in and of itself. It is something that you really want to be prepared for, and it doesn't look like his move was something that he was prepared for. Not only that, but he's been stripped from the only family he's ever known, which again, that's a process for you to prepare for, and it takes some doing if you have to do it quickly to adjust to. And then he's got to deal with the public media and the family themselves literally putting him out in the cold, ignoring him, taking things away. Like, I think they recently reported that on his lapel, the ER, his grandmother's initials were removed. They were arguing over his uniform. They stripped him of, he's gone into the military. He did more work than any of the other royals who were dressed in uniform. He's actually gone to combat. They stripped him of that. They're not even honoring that. There's just this public fighting that they're doing, or stripping or dressing down that they're doing for him. And my thing is, I think that they're breaking him. They're breaking him. They know that he is isolated. And then now he's had to suffer the death of his grandmother, whom he was close with. And when you're grieving, anybody who knows anything about grieving is that that's the time that you're so vulnerable and fragile that you're liable to make like split-second decisions that can impact your life forever. So my prediction is that he's probably, if they keep this up relentlessly, he's probably going to separate from Meghan. I think the call of home, especially now, is going to be so hard on him, and for her, he's probably looking at her right now, because she probably, and again, this is conjecture, she's probably begging to get back home to their kids. And she's a person, I think they said that she compartmentalizes I should not even said that word, sorry, but that she's able to kind of segment her life into bit parts. So for her, she's back at home. She's got the kids. That's all she needs. She has her husband. She has her kids. She's good. Not realizing that he may not be so. So my thing is I question whether or not she's taking that into account of what's going on behind the scenes. For the simple fact is, she has a history of jettisoning her family. If you notice, under that delusion of inclusion or passing for white, not only she didn't invite her white family, which she probably would have. I think she really wanted to have them there, but they're so fractious and she's so apart from them that didn't happen. But what was surprising, to me at least, was that she didn't invite the black side. And the only way that you don't do that, and you only have your mother, is if you don't want them there because you don't want to be reminded that you are black. And so to think that that's going to go away in 2 to 3 years, that's just crazy. We know as DOAS people that that's not going to go away. That's very, very hard to do, even though she's had to deal with the full frontal assault on racism within that family and on the public stage. And besides, I think they're also pressuring him to not release his book that's coming out or supposed to be coming out. I noticed that in these articles, they always refer to that book, not to release that book. They hope that he doesn't come out with it. And I think I agree with that. I don't think he needs to come out with that book. I think that maybe the wife wants him to come out with that book, and that's that. I'm not saying never come out with it, but I think that he should put a moratorium on coming out with that book. I think that she probably should also not do the podcast for at least a year or two, that she kind of backs off from that. Otherwise, I really believe things can get worse. Here's another prediction. I think that when the funeral's over tomorrow, that they're probably going to pull her and him aside together or separately, and they're probably going to give her a final warning about whatever she's doing in the public, airing out the dirty laundry. Does racism need to be confronted? Absolutely. Do we know that racism exists even in the royal family? For sure. Look at the history. Hello. However, because she's lived a life away from black people, and although some of us can, oh, wow, she's a princess and dream, we all know what the reality is. And she really doesn't have that backup of DOAS people behind her because she's lived so far apart from us. So she's really standing on her own. And these people, they're not stupid. They're very wise in what they do. They're very calculated in what they do. So my hope is that she in particular takes this into account because she's not a white woman. If she wants to claim biracial, that's fine. Genetically, she is. But she better look at this as a black woman. She is not a sacred cow in that family, and she's not a sacred cow to the global community, even though she may feel that she is, and even though she's putting out that air that she is, she just not. She needs to look at that history, and she needs to take that into account, deeply. And here's another thing that's going to be like, whoa, but another thing that could be strategically in her favor is if she actually, although she may, it may just make her skin crawl, she may have to bring those kids to England, her family to England, and stay in England for some time, maybe a year and a half, and let her husband grieve with his family and adjust. She may need to swallow that up strategically in order to make sure that she hopefully keeps her husband. However, again, I know that Hollywood is calling from the background, and she wants to answer. And she has just started to answer, and that lure is probably overpowering more than anything. So I'm predicting that if they go right after this funeral, if she drags him or if he goes back, because he's so vulnerable right now, to go back to his kids, and no one will begrudge him of that. I'm not begrudging him of that it could in time work against her. And now at that point, she will be left out in the open. And I think that that's probably not going to be not a good space that she'll want to deal and live in. So my heart goes out to the both of them. I think they're struggling hard. I think a lot of this is probably due to his brother, and especially his brother's wife, the Duchess of Cambridge, who is now, I guess, the Princess of Wales. I think a lot of it's due to jealousy on her part. I think that although she's a beautiful woman, she's kind of stale. She's dry as a bone. She lacks charisma. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, they had charisma. Prince Harry already had charisma on his own. But the whole idea of the both of them together, he and his wife, it was just more charismatic. And it's kind of like a one-note smile on the face, always, and not much else. So, and I know most people will say, well, she's popular. Well, I think that's artificial. I think that the press, and in particularly white women, want her to be, like Diana, but she's not. Or she doesn't even have. She's just not. They're placing that on her. That doesn't come through. She's not Meg, so she doesn't draw people to her. They put on clothes. They put on her clothes and they send her out there, and she smiles, and that's it. So, and Diana had more than just a smile. She really did, and so did even the other one, Sarah, Duchess of York. She had more than just a smile. And so I think that is something that, in order to compensate for what Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan brings, they throw all of this artificial praise and glory upon this woman. when she doesn't actually carry that on her own. So, and one thing that I also noticed too is that the one reason is that before anybody knew Meghan, I mean, just go back and look at the reports, the way that they were talking about the way she dressed, that it was like dull, she's boring, blah, 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 Stepford wife type of deal. And then as soon as Meghan came into the picture, they flipped the switch and heaped all this praise on her. So, and I think that if she's a smart cookie, which she probably is, that she knows it. She knows that this is what the press and whatever people are saying is not what they feel, or it's not true. They're just carrying on. But that could breed, tension. So anyway, that's all I want to comment to. God bless them all. God, especially the two of them, the Duchess and the Duke. And I hope things work out for them. All right. Thank you for listening to my podcast. If you like what you heard, please hit the like button, share it, and subscribe. Come back for more commentary. Bye.